The digital landscape has undergone a profound transformation over the last few years, evolving from a simple arena for social connectivity into an absolute juggernaut of cultural influence and real-time news delivery. Every single day, billions of individuals scroll through an endless stream of content, completely unaware of the subtle ways their perceptions, behaviors, and even daily decisions are being meticulously shaped by unseen algorithmic forces. This is no longer just about passing the time or sharing harmless clips with friends and family. We are currently witnessing a massive shifting of the guard in global media consumption. Traditional broadcasting networks, which once held an absolute monopoly on what the public consumed, are finding themselves increasingly overshadowed by the raw, unedited, and highly addictive nature of short-form mobile entertainment. The modern internet user does not merely watch content anymore. They absorb it, internalize it, and allow it to dictate their lifestyles, their shopping habits, and their fundamental understanding of the world around them. It is a world operating at a breakneck pace, where a single 30-second broadcast can completely alter the public discourse overnight, turning obscure individuals into household names and thrusting hidden realities straight into the global spotlight. This relentless tide of information creates an environment where trends emerge and vanish in the blink of an eye, yet their societal impact remains permanently engraved in our collective consciousness. If you want to stay ahead of this rapidly shifting cultural curve and never miss the deeper stories behind the screen, take a brief moment right now to subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you are always informed as we dive deeper into this intricate digital tapestry. We begin to realize that the most captivating stories are often the ones lurking just beneath the polished surface of our screens. We are constantly exposed to glitz, glamour, and the illusion of effortless perfection, whether we are looking at the highly produced sitcoms on our television sets or the seemingly spontaneous viral videos dominating our social media feeds. There is an unspoken understanding among modern media consumers that what we see is rarely the complete reality, yet we choose to suspend our disbelief for the sake of entertainment. But what happens when the carefully constructed facade begins to crack open, revealing a much more complex and sometimes unsettling truth underneath? The true power of the contemporary media environment lies precisely in these moments of sudden, unscripted revelation. It is the unexpected behind-the-scenes conflict that challenges our perception of a beloved television program, or the sudden, raw testimony of an industry insider who decides that silence is no longer an option. It can even be the shocking, unfiltered confessions of everyday service workers who pull back the curtain on industries we trust implicitly with our safety and comfort. These narratives do not just entertain us, they force us to completely re-examine our relationship with the institutions and media properties we take for granted every single day to truly understand how we arrived at this fascinating cultural crossroads. One must look closely at the sheer velocity with which specific narratives travel across the modern internet ecosystem. A single viral phenomenon can start as a whisper in a remote corner of a digital platform and, within a matter of hours, transform into a massive global conversation that demands the attention of major news outlets and industry executives alike. This unprecedented level of connectivity has given an extraordinary voice to both creators and consumers, breaking down the traditional barriers that once kept the public at a distance from the inner workings of the entertainment and hospitality worlds. Yet, this democratization of information also brings a distinct sense of tension and unpredictability. When anyone can broadcast their reality to millions of people instantly, the line between public image and private truth becomes incredibly thin. We are living in an era where long-held secrets can no longer be contained by non-disclosure agreements or clever public relations campaigns. The modern audience has developed an insatiable appetite for authenticity, actively seeking out the raw, unvarnished details that lie behind the glossy exterior of commercial products, television productions, and everyday consumer experiences. This craving for absolute transparency is precisely what drives the most compelling investigative journalism of our time, as media strategists and independent reporters work tirelessly to untangle the complex threads of public controversies. We often find ourselves asking what truly goes on when the cameras stop rolling, when the studio lights are turned off, or when the hotel room door is firmly shut behind us. The answers to these questions are frequently far more dramatic and layered than the public could ever anticipate, involving deep-seated systemic issues, personal sacrifices, and hidden practices that have been quietly normalized within major industries for decades. By examining these hidden layers, we do not just uncover isolated incidents of discontent or mismanagement, we gain a much broader, highly illuminating perspective on the evolving standards of accountability in the 21st century. As we prepare to dissect the specific, hard-hitting accounts that have recently sent shockwaves through both the entertainment industry and the service sector, we must first appreciate the atmospheric build-up that sets the stage for these major revelations. The stories we are about to explore are interconnected by a singular, powerful theme: the unstoppable reclamation of truth by individuals who have decided that the public deserves to know exactly what happens behind closed, heavily guarded doors. The illusion of a harmonious workplace is often the first casualty when the rigid structures of the entertainment industry are subjected to close public scrutiny. And few examples illustrate this reality more vividly than the sudden fracturing of the public image surrounding the celebrated television sitcom Kim's Convenience. For years, the television series was widely heralded as a groundbreaking milestone for cultural representation, offering global audiences a heartwarming, humorous glimpse into the daily life of a first-generation Korean-Canadian family managing a neighborhood grocery store in Toronto. The show resonated deeply with millions of viewers who saw their own family dynamics, struggles, and triumphs reflected in the endearing characters of Appa, Amma, Janet, and Jung. However, beneath the infectious laughter, bright studio lighting, and carefully timed comedic beats, a deeply painful and profoundly isolating corporate environment was quietly festering behind the scenes. The stark divergence between the show's progressive on-screen narrative and its regressive off-screen production dynamics eventually became impossible to contain, culminating in a series of highly detailed, emotionally raw public statements by prominent cast members. Most notably the esteemed actress Jean Yoon, who portrayed the family matriarch, Uma. Jean Yoon's decision to break her silence sent immediate shockwaves through the global media landscape, effectively pulling back the glossy exterior of a production that many had assumed was a model of progressive collaboration. In her deeply detailed accounts, Yoon described an experience that was not merely challenging, but actively painful, systematic, and culturally alienating. She revealed that the creative control of the series remained firmly entrenched in the hands of a white leadership team that routinely demonstrated a troubling lack of cultural competence, sensitivity, and willingness to listen to the very actors who brought the authentic immigrant experience to life. According to her testimonies, the scripts frequently contained cultural inaccuracies, offensive tropes, and dialogue that felt completely unnatural to the lived experiences of Korean-Canadian families. When the Asian cast members attempted to voice their legitimate concerns, offer constructive feedback, or advocate for greater authenticity, their input was frequently dismissed, minimized, or met with administrative resistance, creating an atmosphere where speaking up felt like an existential risk to their professional careers. This structural disconnect became increasingly severe as the series progressed. leading to a profound sense of disillusionment among the cast, who felt they were being used as token faces for diversity, while being entirely excluded from the actual creative decision-making processes. The pain described by Jean Yoon was not an isolated incident of creative differences. It was a reflection of a much larger, systemic issue within the broader entertainment industry, where diverse stories are frequently greenlit for their commercial and public relations value, but are still filtered through a homogeneous, non-representative creative lens. The tension escalated dramatically behind the scenes during the preparation for the final seasons, as the cast found themselves repeatedly fighting against storylines that they felt diminished their characters or reduced complex cultural nuances to cheap, stereotypical punchlines. This invisible battle took a massive emotional toll on the performers, who carried the immense weight of representing an entire community on a global stage while simultaneously feeling powerless to stop the distortion of that very representation by the production's overarching hierarchy, as the underlying friction within the entertainment world continues to redefine how audiences view their favorite programs. A similarly unsettling revelation has been unfolding simultaneously within another massive global industry that touches the lives of nearly every traveler, the hospitality sector. While television audiences were processing the painful hidden realities of the sitcom world, an entirely separate but equally shocking wave of transparency was cresting across social media platforms, driven by the unfiltered confessions of hotel employees. For generations, the hospitality industry has operated on a strict code of absolute discretion, polish, and pristine presentation, where the primary objective is to create a seamless, luxurious, and entirely sanitized sanctuary for guests away from home. Millions of travelers check into hotels every day, placing implicit, unquestioning trust in the cleanliness of their rooms, the hygiene of the facilities, and the professional integrity of the staff. However, the sudden proliferation of anonymous testimonies, viral employee videos, and industry insider exposes has shattered this illusion of flawless sanitation, revealing a dark, hidden underbelly of hotel operations that has left consumers utterly horrified. Frontline hotel workers, housekeepers, and former managerial staff have begun to speak out with astonishing candor, revealing a catalogue of routine practices and industry secrets that contrast sharply with the immaculate marketing images broadcast by major hotel chains. These revelations detail systemic shortcuts in room cleaning protocols that are driven by intense corporate pressure, unrealistic time quotas, and severe understaffing. According to numerous insider accounts, housekeepers are often allocated an impossibly short amount of time to completely clean and reset a room between checkouts, sometimes as little as 15 to 20 minutes per room. This extreme operational pressure forces workers to prioritize visual neatness over actual sanitization, leading to the routine neglect of frequently touched items that guests assume are thoroughly cleaned. Insiders have repeatedly warned that items like remote controls, light switches, coffee makers, and decorative bed scarves are rarely, if ever, properly sanitized, acting instead as invisible hotbeds for bacteria and contamination across hundreds of successive guests. The confessions grow significantly more alarming when addressing the hidden realities of hotel glassware, bedding, and bathroom maintenance. Multiple employees have confessed that drinking glasses provided in hotel rooms are often not replaced with freshly washed ones from a commercial dishwasher. Instead, under the pressure of strict time constraints, they are sometimes merely rinsed under the bathroom tap, wiped down with the same towels used to clean the mirrors, or polished with chemical sprays not intended for consumer ingestion. Furthermore, the revelation that comforters, duvets, and heavy blankets are infrequently laundered, sometimes only a few times a year, despite dozens of different guests using the bed, has fundamentally transformed how modern travelers approach their accommodations. These systematic shortcuts are not the fault of individual workers, but are rather the direct consequence of a corporate hospitality model that maximizes profit margins by cutting labor costs and placing impossible physical demands on frontline staff. The tension between the public expectation of luxury and the private reality of operational neglect highlights a profound crisis of accountability that mirrors the structural failures witnessed in the entertainment industry, proving that whether on a television set or inside a luxury suite, the truth behind the curtain is often far more complex than the public ever imagined. The fallout from the abrupt conclusion of Kim's Convenience in 2021 brought the internal structural struggles of the entertainment industry into sharp focus, revealing how deeply the lives and careers of its participants were impacted. To fully comprehend the gravity of the situation, one must look at the remarkable trajectory of Jean Yoon herself, a deeply respected veteran of the Canadian arts community. Born in Illinois and raised in Toronto, Yoon spent decades cultivating a profound body of work in theatre, writing, and advocacy, long before she captured the hearts of global audiences as the resilient and loving matriarch, Uma. Throughout her extensive career, she consistently championed the necessity of authentic cultural narratives, making the systemic dismissal she experienced during the production of the hit sitcom all the more devastating. The pain was compounded by the fact that the series was cancelled unexpectedly after its 5th season, not due to low ratings or a lack of audience devotion, but because the white co-creators chose to abruptly depart the project to pursue other ventures. This sudden termination left the predominantly Asian cast blindsided and stranded, denied the narrative closure they and their loyal viewers rightfully deserved. The sting of this cancellation was intensified when production executives immediately greenlit a spin-off series titled Strays, which centered exclusively on the show's only white main character. A decision that the original cast publicly noted felt like a profound betrayal and a literal erasure of the diverse community that had built the franchise's historic success. This controversial transition sparked an even larger conversation when fellow cast member Simu Liu, who skyrocketed to international superstardom as a Marvel Cinematic superhero shortly after, vocally supported Jean Yoon's revelations. Liu openly detailed his own frustrations with the production's trajectory, criticizing the stagnant character development, the insultingly low wages offered to the core cast despite the show's massive global profitability on streaming networks, and the absolute refusal of the producers to allow the actors to contribute to the creative direction of their own characters. The unified stance of these actors completely dismantled the traditional industry expectation that marginalized performers should remain quietly grateful for whatever opportunities they are given, regardless of the hostile conditions behind the scenes. This entire controversy matters immensely because it exposed a pervasive phenomenon known within media studies as superficial diversity, where major networks and corporate studios eagerly exploit the visual aesthetics of representation for corporate branding and award recognition, while completely withholding genuine creative authority and structural power from the communities being portrayed. The legacy of Kim's Convenience now serves as a historical turning point and a cautionary tale, forcing the global entertainment industry to reckon with the reality that true representation cannot exist without equitable distribution of power behind the camera. Demanding a future where writers' rooms and executive suites mirror the diversity seen on screen. Simultaneously, the shocking waves of transparency transforming the hospitality world have driven a massive, irreversible shift in public awareness, moving the conversation from idle online curiosity to a serious consumer advocacy movement. The participants in this particular revelation are not red carpet celebrities, but the invisible, essential workforce of housekeepers, laundry operators, and former resort managers who have chosen to utilize short-form video platforms to expose the systematic exploitation built into modern hospitality models. Many of these whistleblowers have shared their stories at great personal and professional risk, facing potential termination, blacklisting, or corporate legal retaliation for violating strict corporate confidentiality policies. Their testimonies have illuminated the harsh economic realities faced by frontline service workers who are frequently subjected to piece-rate compensation structures or impossible quotas that mandate the cleaning of up to 16 or 20 multi-room suites per shift. By pulling back the curtain on these operational metrics, these workers have successfully demonstrated to the public that the widespread sanitary failures documented across major hotel chains are not the result of individual laziness or employee negligence, but are rather the inevitable, calculated byproducts of a corporate ecosystem that consistently prioritizes rapid room turnover and minimized labor costs over basic public health and human dignity. The societal impact of these hospitality exposures has completely redefined the relationship between the modern consumer and the travel industry, creating an era of unprecedented traveler skepticism. For decades, consumers operated under the comforting assumption that higher room rates automatically guaranteed superior standards of hygiene and safety. But the viral evidence provided by industry insiders proved that these systemic shortcuts are just as prevalent in five-star luxury resorts as they are in budget roadside motels. This realization has triggered a profound revolution in consumer behavior as modern travelers now enter their accommodations armed with specialized knowledge, carrying disinfectant wipes, portable ultraviolet inspection lights, and a deep-seated distrust of standard amenities. The traditional practices of using the in-room coffee maker, utilizing the complimentary glassware, or letting the bed comforter touch one's skin have been entirely replaced by strict personal sanitation protocols. This massive grassroots shift in consumer awareness has forced major hospitality conglomerates into a defensive posture, forcing them to completely re-evaluate their housekeeping timelines, implement transparent cleaning certifications, and publicly address the systemic vulnerabilities that have exposed their brands to massive reputational damage in the digital age. When we look at both of these seemingly disparate industries side by side, we discover a powerful, unifying truth about the contemporary cultural landscape: the absolute breakdown of institutional gatekeeping. Whether it is an accomplished actress fighting for cultural dignity on a major television network, or an underpaid housekeeper exposing hazardous sanitary shortcuts inside a multi-million-dollar luxury resort, the underlying mechanism of change is exactly the same. Ordinary individuals, long silenced by corporate hierarchies, non-disclosure agreements, and structural power dynamics, are successfully leveraging the decentralized power of modern digital media to reclaim